William will quite rightly stare down claims that Meghan Markle is threatening to sue. Insiders told Radar Online she's already preparing to fight back with legal action if necessary.
William will quite rightly stare down claims that Meghan Markle is threatening to sue. Insiders told Radar Online she's already preparing to fight back with legal action if necessary. What if I told you that everything Meghan Markle has built over the past 3 years could crumble in an instant? That the carefully constructed empire she's been polishing behind the scenes is now under direct attack from one of the most powerful institutions in the world? And what if I told you that Prince William himself may have orchestrated this entire takedown? Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this coming. Not the royal commentators, not the fans, not even Meghan's fiercest critics. Because if you thought the Sussex drama had already reached its peak, the UK Parliament just walked into the room and said, "Hold my tea. Before we dive into this absolute bombshell, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this story is developing by the hour. And you won't want to miss what happens next." Also, drop a comment below. Do you think Parliament is right to intervene, or is this an unfair attack on Meghan? I want to hear your thoughts. Now, let's get into what just happened and why it could destroy everything Meghan has been building. The perfect storm. For the last 2 to 3 years, something interesting has been happening with Meghan Markle. Have you noticed it? She's been quiet. Strategically, deliberately quiet. No bombshell interviews. No attacks on the royal family. No references to those explosive complaints she made during the Oprah interview. It's like she vanished from the controversy radar completely. Why? Because Meghan and her team have been executing one of the most calculated PR rebrands in modern celebrity history. They've been working overtime to transform her image from controversial royal exile to lovely, friendly California dreamer just enjoying her best life. And you know what? It was working. Think about it. When was the last time you saw Meghan making headlines for drama? She's been carefully curating soft-focused Instagram posts, wellness content, and inspirational quotes. She's been photographed at charity events, farmers markets, and exclusive celebrity gatherings. Always smiling, always polished, always perfectly on brand. But here's what you probably didn't realize. This wasn't just about image rehabilitation. This was the groundwork for something much bigger. Meghan was building a business empire, a lifestyle brand, wellness products, female empowerment initiatives, content creation, all wrapped in beautiful packaging with aspirational messaging that would make even Martha Stewart take notes. She rolled it out with her signature Hollywood sparkle, professionally photographed campaigns, celebrity endorsements, soft-filtered promotional videos, and marketing language that practically hummed with ambition and possibility. It was polished. It was meticulous. It was quintessentially Meghan. And at the center of it all, her royal title. The Duchess of Sussex brand wasn't just a part of her business identity. It was her business identity. But here's where the story takes a dark, unexpected turn. Because while Meghan was building her California empire, something was brewing 5,000 meters away in Westminster. Something she never anticipated. Something that threatens to bring her entire operation crashing down. And the timing, it couldn't be worse. The Westminster bombshell. What happened in Westminster this week wasn't a quiet suggestion. It wasn't a polite reminder. It wasn't even a stern warning. It was a full-blown constitutional bombshell. The kind of official governmentist thunderbolt that sends shockwaves straight through the glossy walls of Meghan's newly minted business empire. Here's exactly what went down. A cross-party committee at Westminster, meaning politicians from all sides of the political spectrum, quietly began reviewing the legal framework surrounding businesses run by members of the royal family. Specifically, they were looking at former members who still publicly use their royal titles for commercial purposes. Now, this kind of review happens occasionally. It's usually bureaucratic, boring, the kind of thing that gets a single paragraph buried in the politics section of newspapers. But when the committee reached Meghan's brand, eyebrows reportedly hit the ceiling. Because here's the problem that Parliament identified. Meghan's business empire wasn't just using her Duchess title as a subtle marketing touch. The entire foundation was built on it. The royal connection wasn't in the background. It was front and center, boldly displayed, impossible to miss. And in Parliament's eyes, that's a constitutional problem. One senior MP said off the record that Meghan's branding was tiptoeing on the edge of constitutional exploitation. Think about that phrase for a moment. Constitutional exploitation. That's not casual criticism. That's a serious allegation. Another MP didn't even bother keeping quiet, publicly calling it a gross misuse of the Duchess identity for commercial gain. And just like that, the debate went nuclear. Within hours, Parliament officially announced a formal review into whether non-working royals should be allowed to use royal titles to market or promote private businesses. They didn't mention Meghan by name, but they didn't need to. Everyone from London to Los Angeles knew exactly who this was about. Social media exploded instantly. The tabloids lit up like fireworks. Even American outlets that had been sympathetic to Meghan jumped into the story. It was like someone dropped a lit match into a room filled with gasoline. Now, here's the question you need to ask yourself. Why now? Why, after 3 years of relative silence from Meghan, did Parliament suddenly decide to take action? Was this really about protecting constitutional integrity? Or was there someone, perhaps someone very close to the throne, pulling strings behind the scenes? We'll get to that. But first, you need to understand exactly what's at stake here, what Parliament is really targeting. Let me break down exactly. What makes this parliamentary review so dangerous for Meghan? Parliament isn't just talking about vague guidelines or polite suggestions. They're not issuing a slap on the wrist. They're talking about actual legal restrictions, binding limitations on how a duchess, especially one living overseas, can use her royal styling for commercial profit. In other words, they're coming for the very foundation of her business empire. Think about what Meghan's brand really sells. Yes, there's lifestyle content. Yes, there's wellness messaging and female empowerment. But underneath all of that, what's the real draw? What separates her from the thousands of other lifestyle influencers saturating the market? The royal connection. That's the secret ingredient. That's the magic dust that makes her brand special. She's not just another celebrity entrepreneur. She's a duchess. She's royalty. She married into the most famous monarchy in the world and lived inside palaces. Take away that royal title and what's left? Another lifestyle brand in an oversaturated market. Now, while the review is still in progress, leaks from Westminster insiders have painted the picture in stark, undeniable terms. The committee is deeply uncomfortable with how Meghan has fused royal prestige with commercial ventures. They see it as a dangerous blurring of lines, one that threatens not only the monarchy's integrity, but also the fairness of UK commercial regulations. And here's the part that should terrify Meghan. They're calling this a priority review. Translation: this isn't some back burner political exercise that'll get forgotten in committee. They want action. They want it soon. And they want to set a precedent that will apply to all royals going forward. Meanwhile, 5,000 meters away in California, Meghan and her team were reportedly blindsided. A source close to her described the mood inside her Montito home as intense, frustrated, and deeply offended. Meghan allegedly feels targeted, unfairly singled out. According to one insider, she feels sabotaged at the most crucial moment of her business launch. And honestly, from her perspective, can you blame her? She stepped back from royal duties. She moved to another continent. She built a business from scratch, using her own name and reputation. And now, years later, the institution she left behind is reaching across the Atlantic Ocean to potentially dismantle everything she's created. But here's where the story gets even more complicated and controversial. The William connection. We need to talk about Prince William because multiple sources are now suggesting he may have played a significant role in triggering this parliamentary review. According to insiders, William has reportedly been in communication with senior advisors about the need to scrutinize Meghan's commercial empire. Why? because he sees it as a threat to the monarchy's integrity and a potential precedent that could damage the institution for generations. Some sources claim William personally called advisors to ensure that the issue of royal titles being used for commercial gain would be thoroughly examined. His argument reportedly is that all former working royals need to understand their limits and responsibilities. But is this really about protecting the monarchy? Or is it personal? Think about the history here. The tensions between William and Harry have been well documented. The rift has only deepened since Harry and Meghan left the UK. And now, just as Meghan is launching what could be her most successful venture yet, Parliament, with William's apparent blessing, steps in to potentially destroy it. Coincidence? You decide. Palace insiders whisper that senior aides are quietly thrilled about this development. They reportedly view it as a protective move for the monarchy and perhaps a subtle reminder to Harry and Meghan about where they fit in the Grand Royal. Her voice sharp and controlled but trembling with barely contained emotion. We fight. We don't bow. They can't dictate my empire. I won't let them take this away from me. Her determination is absolute. Her resolve is unshakable. But the question remains, can she actually win this fight? Let's look at the reality. Parliament has constitutional authority. They have centuries of legal precedent. They have public support from those who believe royal titles shouldn't be commercialized. And they have time. They can drag this review out for months, even years if necessary, slowly strangling Meghan's business empire with uncertainty. Meghan has determination, a strong legal team, and a powerful narrative about standing up to institutional oppression. But does she have enough? Legal briefs are being drafted. PR strategies are being overhauled. Media appearances are being planned. Every move is being carefully calculated. But beneath all the strategy and planning, there's a deeper emotional reality playing out in Montaido. Harry's quiet sadness is growing. Staffers report that he's withdrawn, spending hours alone, reflecting, pacing. Scrolling through endless news coverage, the sheer magnitude of the situation seems to be crushing him. There's a heaviness to him, one aide revealed. It's not just about Meghan's fight. It's the media attention. It's the monarchy. It's public perception. It's everything colliding at once. He wants to step in and fix it, but he knows there's a limit to what he can do. He's completely overwhelmed, and that's the human side of this story that no headline can fully capture. Beyond the legal arguments and constitutional debates and parliamentary reviews, there are two people trying to navigate an impossible situation. Meghan sees this as a challenge to her autonomy, her success, her fundamental right to build a life on her own terms. Harry sees it as a collision of loyalty, love, and legacy, a painful reminder that no matter how far they move, the crown still casts a very long shadow. The children's future. But there's another layer to this story that we haven't discussed yet, one that makes this parliamentary bombshell even more consequential. What about Archie and Lily? According to sources, one of Meghan's greatest fears isn't just about her business empire. It's about what this means for her children's future. Both Archie and Lily technically hold royal titles, as prince and princess. Though Harry and Meghan have been selective about when and how those titles are used. But here's the terrifying question keeping Meghan up at night. If Parliament can restrict how she uses her Duchess title, what does that mean for her children's titles? Could this review eventually extend to them? Some constitutional experts suggest that's exactly where this could be heading. If Parliament establishes that non-working royals cannot commercialize their titles, it sets a precedent that could affect the Sussex children for their entire lives. Imagine Archie at 25 wanting to launch his own business. Imagine Lily at 30 trying to build a brand or write a book. Would they be prohibited from using their royal titles? Would they be forced to choose between their heritage and their independence? This isn't just about Meghan's current business. This is about the legacy she's trying to build for her children. And that makes the stakes infinitely higher than most people realize. Sources close to the couple say this aspect of the crisis has been particularly devastating for both. Harry and Meghan, they left the royal family partly to give their children a different kind of life. One with more freedom, more privacy, more choices. Now, ironically, that very decision may result in their children having fewer options, not more. One insider revealed Meghan keeps asking, what kind of precedent are we setting? What kind of world are we leaving for our kids? She's not just fighting for her business anymore. She's fighting for Archie and Lizabeth's future. Harry, meanwhile, reportedly feels a deep sense of guilt. He's the one who came from the institution. He's the one who understood the rules. He's the one who should have predicted this. But even he didn't anticipate that Parliament would intervene so dramatically, so publicly, and with such potentially fairy-looking consequences for his entire family. The bigger picture. Let's zoom out for a moment and look at what this really represents. This isn't just a story about Meghan Markle's business empire. This isn't even just about the Sussex family drama. This is about the fundamental question of what it means to be royal in the modern world. For centuries, being a member of the royal family meant accepting a specific bargain. You've got privilege, wealth, status, and a platform. But in exchange, you gave up personal freedom, privacy, and the right to commercialize your identity. Harry and Meghan tried to break that bargain. They wanted to keep the benefits, the titles, the recognition, the royal connection, while shedding the restrictions. And now Parliament is saying, no, you don't get both. You don't get to walk away from the institution and still trade on what the institution gave you. That's the real issue at the heart of this bombshell. Not whether Meghan's business is legitimate, or whether she's a good person, or whether she deserves success. The issue is who owns the royal brand. Is it personal property that Harry and Meghan can take with them wherever they go? Or does it belong to the crown to be used only in service of the institution? Parliament is making it clear they believe it's the latter, and that could change everything. Not just for the Sussexes, but for every royal who comes after them. Princess Beatrice and Eugenie are watching this closely. So are other minor royals who've built careers outside the palace walls. If Parliament sets strict boundaries now, it could define how royalty functions for the next generation. This is history being written in real time, and Meghan and Harry are at the absolute center of it. What happens next? So what actually happens next? Let's break down the possible scenarios. Scenario 1, Meghan fights and loses. She takes this to court, challenges Parliament's authority, and ultimately loses. Her business empire collapses. She's forced to rebrand completely. Her reputation takes a massive hit, and the narrative becomes she overreached and paid the price. Scenario 2. Meghan negotiates behind closed doors. Her team works out a compromise with Westminster. Maybe she phases out the Duchess branding gradually. Maybe she keeps the title but agrees to specific restrictions.